Club football is back. We are here a couple days out from the start of the Premier League. Serie A is in a couple weeks. The other leagues are not starting quite yet, but England starts this week, which means we've got matches to talk about, boys. We are back day early on Tuesday. We got some stuff going on tomorrow night, so we're here recording on Tuesday. So, things could change between now and the weekend a little bit in the lines and everything, but it feels good to be talking about matches. We'll start just with a little bit of Serie A futures. We did touch on those in previous episodes with Martino and Johnny, so we won't go too in depth. But guys, how you doing tonight? And then I guess we'll start. Nick, anything jump out at you in these futures based on transfers that have happened, or anything else that maybe you want to tweak since the last time we spoke about them?
Yeah, feeling good, man. I think we did good work last week. We went pretty in depth. EPL had a lot of futures to go through, so tried to find the value where we could. I think a lot of this stuff is unplayable compared to previous years, but certainly, go back and check that episode out if you haven't already. I think a lot of insight, a lot of the like head-to-head matchups where like I wouldn't necessarily consider them futures. It's more like a season win total, right? And over under, like things like that, where you're getting even money, but they're at least fun to talk about. And I'm interested to see where we come out on them at the end of the year. But excited. I've been saying it in the group chat. I've kind of been saying it on Twitter. The EPL is going to be must see TV this year. I mean, I think it pretty much has been, right? I'm not knocking any of the past years, but I really don't know that there's a consensus winner. I mean, I think we have our picks for who we think or who we hope is going to win, but nothing would surprise me. It really is what I'm saying. And I think
we got to keep an eye on City in the market, right? They're talking about Rodrigo. They're talking about Donnarumma now. If the Ederson deal goes through, I think he might be going to Saudi Arabia. And Ederson's good, but Donnarumma is one of the best keepers in Europe, right? Coming off a Champions League victory on the way out at PSG. United apparently had their eyes on him, and if City can swoop in and get him, that's a big move for them. And not that they're necessarily better than Liverpool with that move or with the Rodrigo move, but it certainly closes the gap a bit.
Yeah, I mean, people also forget that they started the window really strong, brought in a bunch of players before the Club World Cup. So I'd say they probably got 60 to 70% of their transfer business done in early June. And now you can add in a couple key names, players like Rodrigo and Donnarumma. I think still the biggest concern that I would have, even with those guys potentially coming in, nothing confirmed, is Rodri already out probably through the end of September. And we know what he does to this team. Do they really have a midfielder ready to step in and play like a holding mid, really own the midfield space, keep possession, defend that, or cover the back four? Not right now. They don't really have a good backup, in my opinion. No. So that's still going to be the concern. But I will say, I mean, I think they're still looking at plus 300 in the futures. And if you're a DraftKings bettor, they have the 25% odds boost. So we were kind of playing them around with a couple City parlays. So City and Napoli, City and PSG and Bayern. Throwing in a couple of those, you can get that up to plus 1,000 easy. So.
Yeah, a lot of good things you touched on there. I think Rodri, great shout. I mean, obviously, look, the guy, he is instrumental to this team, just plain and simple. So let's see the ramifications of that. What I'm wondering, what we saw last year, with the exception of the very early and consistent run that Liverpool went on, we saw vulnerable teams at the top that we hadn't seen in years past, right? If you were facing City and it wasn't guaranteed the City were getting 3 points. You were facing Arsenal. Arsenal went a lot of games scoring 1 goal or less. But I think we talked about it last week. A lot of the quality in the middle of the table, in my opinion, has really dropped. I think players have gone to other teams. I think teams haven't reinvested. Certainly, I mean, it's easy for me to say that without a game having been played, right? There's going to be 10 players we talk about a month from now that wasn't even on my radar that like, oh, wow, look at this guy for Brighton or look at this guy for Fulham or whoever. But that was the interesting part of last year for me. So I want to understand what's going to happen at the top of the table really early on, right? Are these teams going to be vulnerable from the start and drop points, or are we going to see a juggernaut from Arsenal and City and Liverpool just firing on all cylinders from game one? And it's more of a race to like, okay, who drops points first? So that's kind of the mental mindset I'm going into this year with. It should be awesome, but I don't know which way it's going to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so real quick on Italy, like I said, we talked to this a couple episodes ago, multiple times. Winner, Napoli still the favorite, deservedly so based on the transfer business and defending champs, I think, plus 160. Not much has changed. Inter 250, Juve 450, Milan 550, Roma 1100. These are the DraftKings lines. We both got Roma on BetMGM, I think, at plus 1400, and probably still somewhere around there. Atalanta plus 2000, and then it drops off to Lazio, Fiorentina, those teams. In the winner's circle, and then the relegation. I don't know if this is flipped at all, Nick, but Pisa minus 125, Cremonese minus 125, and then it's Verona at plus 150. Newly promoted Sassuolo is the fifth longest odds at plus 200, and they've also got Lecce in between them. So that might be more interesting in some ways than the title odds, I think, at this point.
Those numbers are worse than they were when we went through them about a month ago. I think all these teams were even money or longer. So that's a little bit shocking to me. I remember Cagliari was a shout that I had. I think they were around plus 300. They're down to plus 225. But kind of with you, I'd be really shocked if Pisa or Cremonese stayed up. I don't really know what business either of them has done other than like Pisa got Juan Cuadrado, right? Like 40-year-old fucking right back. So that's your move. Outside of those two, I don't.
And we were talking about parlaying like for that future boost guy, because I think a lot of times it's capped at like $10. Like you could throw in a relegation future somewhere, right? If you're like, maybe an Inter can nip Napoli, but I'm not sure. But I'm pretty darn sure if Pisa or Cremonese is going down, maybe you throw that in there with Bayern and PSG and somebody from the Premier League that you either like to go down or to win the league.
Definitely.
Yeah, and those numbers are far more playable than some of the other leagues, like we were talking about PSG and Bayern. So for sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Nick.
No, go, Scotty. I'm sorry.
Well, I was just going to point out, if we're talking about to be relegated, I mean, I think I called it out. I forget which pod it was. I think it was maybe 2 weeks ago, but this feels very much like it could be if Lecce doesn't get out to a hot start. Because I think last year they started out and they had a couple wins in their first like 5 or 6 matches, and we were like,
Lazio and Roma, didn't they?
Yeah, and they're like, they're sitting mid-table. This might be a good season. I mean, they had to win. I think they had 7 points in their last 3 matches to get them outside of being relegated last season. So if they don't have a similar hot start and, don't necessarily have a great finish either like they did last year, I think they're certainly within realm of being sent back down to
They could be
Serie
losing
B.
their striker. The Montenegrin Kristovic apparently is asked to go to a bigger club. If Roma sells Dubnik, apparently he is one of Gasperini's top targets, so he could be moving elsewhere.
What I'm going to say, and you mentioned it about players moving to like City potentially with Donnarumma, and now you're talking about, I don't know, a guy who's playing on the presumed 17th or 18th place team, and you're demanding to go to Roma. Like, how did we get to this area where these players just have all this fucking power and all this say, and they get on social media and they fucking cry and their agent cries and it gets done. Like, I mean, kudos to them.
Look at Lookman. I mean, what's going to go on with Lookman, right? I mean, they're still holding out for 50. Inter.
And here's my question. Do you want Lookman on your team?
I mean,
if you're another player.
Player.
If you're a coach, if you're if you're a fan, maybe you want him. Listen, I'm not. You guys.
I think it depends on the club.
If you're a team,
it depends on the player
right?
too, right? If Neymar or Messi are fucking crying up a storm, you don't care because it's Neymar or Messi. Is Lookman that good? Is Kristovic that good? Are these the guys you're fucking going to battle with that putting you over the edge? Like, it's a little ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
Ederson, who are you, bro? Like, you got the easiest job on the fucking planet playing goalie for City for 5 of the last 7 years. I don't know. It's just kind of wild to me. So sorry. To your point, you just got me on a tangent here. So if we assume Pisa and Cremonese are going down, there's one other spot up for grabs, right? For relegation.
Yeah.
Everybody's in a pretty good range at plus 175 or worse. Yeah. I mean, I think Sassuolo have enough players that we know about, probably would spend in the transfer window, in the middle of the year if they had to. Probably will get a guy or two on loan before this window closes. So I wouldn't put them in contention, but I think Lecce, to your point, Scotty, is a really good shout. Cagliari, I said it a couple weeks ago, is probably a good shout. Genoa, how many games did they win or tie by, 1 goal margin last year, really with no goal scoring, plus 350. They might be in contention. And we've talked about Hellas for like 6 years.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think for good reason that they are the third shortest odds right now because they lost both Gilardi and Coppola from their back line, right? These are two guys. One moved to Roma, one moved to Brighton, two of the younger, more promising center backs in the, Italy setup, for what it's worth these days. But when you lose 2/3 of your back line, that's a lot to lose on a team that's already kind of on that relegation bubble all the time.
I'd argue how good is 2/3 of that back line, but we've argued that for 7 years.
I guess we'll see, really soon with Brighton and with Roma because, depending on how much Coppola and Gilardi play right away, we'll see.
No, listen, you tell me, I can give my final thoughts on winner. I could give thoughts on top four.
I think we're all pretty in agreement on who the winner is right now. I mean, no one's placing. I mean, let's put it this way: are you actually going to place any winner future today or this week before the season starts?
No. I mean, what I would just say to everybody, if you're watching us or haven't caught us in the past month or so, we have 2 really good episodes with 2 really good guests, Martino for Milan and Johnny for Inter. We went through Serie A pretty much top to bottom. Odds really haven't moved all that much. Transfers really haven't happened since those episodes. Yeah. So go back and listen.
And that's what's tough with the Serie A futures. These teams wait so long to do their business a lot of the time.
But I will say Napoli deserved favorite. I think we're all in agreement that they win the league. Strongest team, retooled the best. Everybody else got worse. Everybody top to bottom got worse. So that's where I'm at. Roma is the long shot that I like. I don't think, they're 5th longest odds right now. Anybody below Roma does not have a chance to win the league. So don't even waste your time. Atalanta, Lazio, Fiorentina, Bologna, Como, anybody else, no shot. I really don't think Juventus or Milan have a shot. I really don't think Inter have a shot. I mean, I think Roma have a better chance than Juventus to win the title. Like that must sound insane, but that's where my head's at.
Music to my ears. I hope it's true.
Who's scoring goals for Juve?
Yeah, no. I mean, they haven't figured that out, right? And Jonathan David was their big get so far.
I forgot. They got him. Yeah. So he's good for about 11 penalties next year. Top 4, the one that's interesting to me is probably Bologna at plus 500. Roma's really, really short odds at plus 140. I think that comes through. Atalanta plus 250 stinks. Lazio plus 450 stinks. Fiorentina plus 500. Maybe you can make a case for it. People like Como. I don't know why. I don't think they have a shout at getting in top 4. That would be like Leicester winning the Premier League, in my opinion. Yeah. So I think it's between Bologna or Fiorentina if you wanted to take a stab with either of those 2.
Yeah. And what's tough with that is, like, even if Italy earns the 5th Champions League spot, it's not like to make Champions League, right? It's to finish top 4. So, sometimes those teams can sneak into 5th place, right? Like we saw a couple of years ago when Bologna qualified for Champions League. But we have to target top 4, and you have to pass Napoli, Inter, Juve, should be an improved Milan, should be an improved Roma. It gets tough for those sides.
Yep.
I think the most overvalued side is Atalanta. And we talked about it too.
No question.
You can go back and hear it more in depth, but with the coaching change, some of the players they've lost, I just think that is a wild line. And like if not that I think they're going to finish bottom 10, but like if we had those kind of futures like the Premier League does, I'd be really curious to see what the number is, because that could be a really juicy number.
Yep.
For like maybe Atalanta slips up and finishes 11th because they have a really bad, turnaround with Juric coming in. I don't know. Unfortunately, here in the U.S., we don't have those lines.
Right.
Yeah. I think Roma top 4 plus 140 is a good one. If you're going to do like a little futures mix, I think that's a good one to throw in there. But yeah, otherwise, I pretty much agree with you, Nick. I don't hate Como plus 500 just because they have improved more so than like a lot of these other teams who are getting worse. And I don't know, why not? They don't have to deal with Europe. They're not dealing with, multiple games a week. They'll probably be healthy throughout the season.
The only thing I would argue against it, let's agree Napoli is firmly entrenched in a top 4 spot. Are they really finishing ahead of Inter, Juve, Milan, and Roma, and potentially another team? That could be in the mix that we're not really giving them any. Like, that's really a tall task.
Yeah. If you told me there's a top 4 of Napoli, Inter, Juve, Como with Roma shortly behind, I wouldn't be stunned.
I'd be pretty stunned.
Yeah, I don't know. Plus 500 feels short for Como. Like if
you told me they were plus,
people are betting it,
plus 1,200,
maybe,
I'm in there 100%. I'm with you there.
But 500 seems short.
If they
finished
go
last year 10th, I think. Yeah,
which was good. They were in
good. Yeah, we were talking about relegation beginning of the season because the line was juicy, right?
What position did they finish the year before that?
First in Serie B, maybe.
So
Yeah.
they've made up 10 spots basically in the first year, make up 6 more.
No, listen, and they could do it. They have a good home field advantage. If they go and get the points that they're supposed to get, it's not out of the realm of possibility, but I just don't see them being better than all of those teams. And then you also throw in a Fiorentina, a Bologna, who are much more tested, have better players, probably a better manager.
You don't think Bologna has taken a step down this year?
I don't think so. They had a really good year last year.
They only lost Ndoye, right? Who else?
Yeah.
I mean, so far, Lucemi's still there in the back. They talking about losing him, but they haven't lost him yet. So Italiano's proved to be a pretty good coach.
Proved me wrong. Yeah. I got to say, I was the number one hater, and he did really well with this team. So they don't really concede a lot.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Match week 1 is Bologna-Roma, so that'd be an interesting test for both those sides. Kind of see measuring stick game right away.
Yeah. Anyway, John, Eduardo, what's up, guys? Thank you for being in the chat always.
Yep. Let's jump it over to the EPL. We're going to feature 3 matches today. Liverpool-Bournemouth opens the season on Friday. Scott may have a pick for that later. But we're going to go to a more interesting head-to-head here to open up Saturday morning, 7:30 Eastern U.S. time. Aston Villa hosting Newcastle. Newcastle was the team we were talking about fading in our futures last week because of the Isak potential loss. Maybe more impending loss than potential, it's looking like. Villa plus 130 in the money line at home. Newcastle plus 190 on the road. Over is set at 2.5 at minus 170 already. So that's, they're expecting goals here.
Yeah.
Without Isak playing, shortest goal scorer is Ollie Watkins at plus 140, and then Daniel Malin at plus 210 are the ones that jump out right away at the top of that list. And then, depends what you think about Newcastle, but if you like them, draw no bet plus 110 are just some of the basic odds, and you guys could obviously look deeper as we talk about this one. But, we talked about fading Newcastle over the course of the season. Villa took a little bit of a step back, too. They had to compete in Europe last year. Going into this one, feels like Villa is in a better position with all the drama surrounding Newcastle right now. What are you guys thinking? Plus 130 at home, if you like Villa, is a really nice number to start the season.
Take it away, Nick.
Yeah, that's where I'm at, quite honestly. I think these teams probably on level terms as far as I'm concerned with my expectations. We talked about it last week. You have to give the home team the edge here. I'm going to see what Newcastle does here without Isak, right? Like, he's not listed on any of the odds, so I'm going to assume whether he's there or not, he's probably not playing. You kind of just said that. So let me see what they do away from home. Villa, they're going to need to make a statement. I kind of trust them. I trust the coaching that they have. Ali, we were talked about him. He could be primed for a little bit of a bounce back. I said he had a bad year, but he still scored 15 goals. So, no, I kind of like them at plus 130. I think that's a fair number to take early on at home in kind of a matchup with two teams that are level. Another one I would look at is Elanga shot on target at even money. I think that's a pretty good number for a shot on target for him.
Yeah. The goals here, the number being so high, is just purely historic matchups between these two teams. I think there's been like 4 goals in the last 5 games between these two clubs. With that said, Newcastle with no Isak probably means Osula is going to be starting up top, who's had a pretty dire preseason. You can't read too much into preseason, but they really are lacking, a true out-and-out 9. That's been much documented in the media over the last month and a half, their journey of trying to get a replacement for Isak potentially. And really, Elanga's the only one that's been in so far. Ironically enough, they're rumored to be getting Jacob Ramsey from Aston Villa. So who knows how that move shakes out before this game or how that impacts starting lineups for Aston Villa, even if Ramsey hasn't completed the move yet. But I think the one piece, we can all be down on Villa or on Newcastle, and I think it's all warranted. In this matchup, the midfield is going to be thoroughly dominated by Newcastle. Newcastle's midfield 3 is going to be outrunning and outplaying Aston Villa's for the full 90 minutes. Now, I don't know if these 3, Joe Wellington, Bruno Guimaraes, and Sandro Tonali, will be healthy for the whole season, which is where my pessimism comes in. Joe Wellington definitely gets injured a fair amount. Tonali, I know he played a full season last year after being, out for suspension. So maybe he can be the anchor. But, Guimaraes, if he misses significant time and Tonali is left being partnered with, they'll probably find another midfielder before the window closes. But I think that hurts them a lot. So I don't mind being a little bit more reserved with this game. Aston Villa, I get plus 130 on the money line is nice, but even like getting a quarter of a goal with them is a little bit more appealing, because I could see this being a 1-1, 2-2 type of game where the draw comes in. So that's kind of where my feeling is. Let me get the quarter goal is minus 110. So it's not terrible. It's a little bit more playable. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm rolling right now. I don't want to sell Newcastle in this opening match, even though they're on the road, because I like their midfield too much. I think that's it. I think the defense, I don't think, their defense is going to be tough right now. Botman will probably start with Dan Burn, because I don't think Cha will be in the squad quite yet. So that could be a little bit of a challenge. Watkins could probably, nick a goal here to start things off. So maybe taking him, what was it, Coach, plus 170?
A little short. But...
It's short, but, Ollie Watkins scoring on opening day at home seems like a pretty sure thing.
Yeah, I hope so. And listen, I'll say before you go, Coach, sorry. I am a big proponent of taking an underdog in the first couple of weeks of the season. So, I'm with Villa here just because of everything we talked about in our future show, and strong, home team for sure. But Newcastle at plus 200 money line is there's worse bets to make. I definitely see where you're at.
Yeah, I think Scott brought up a good point with the quarter goal, because I do like Villa at home at plus 130. And then draw no bet minus 145 starts to get a little chalky. But if you go the quarter goal route, you at least protect yourself half of your bet there. In a match that they should win, you're getting close to even money is not a bad idea. The Elanga prop that you pointed out, which I hadn't looked at shots, is I think a nice one at even money. If you do think there's going to be goals, though, if you think historically these matches have goals and you think they might find some goals, I think they're going to come from the Villa side in this one, right? Because of what Scott talked about with the number 9 position for Newcastle. Villa team total, minus 120, not a bad number at home. Get 2 goals, I don't buy that it might go to 3.5 like the over set, probably going to be set at by the time this one starts, when we're already at minus 170, but maybe get 2 to 3 goals, and 2 of them come from Villa, and you got minus 120. I don't know how often Watkins shoots on goal. 2 shots on goal, though, is plus 155. Seems juicy. I don't know how much he shoots on target, but if he's playing the number 9 position and they get him some looks, I mean, that's a pretty big number.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm kind of with you on Villa team total. I'm looking at even minus 115. So I think shop around if you can get it around that number. I think that's solid for them to get off at home.
Yeah. All right. Anything else I have with this one?
That's what I got.
So we're going to jump ahead to Sunday morning for our second feature match, which is Chelsea hosting Crystal Palace. Okay, so Chelsea is right now by the bookmakers the 4th best team in the league. Best chance to make the top 4 of the non-3 big favorites in the league. They're hosting Crystal Palace, who's coming off a kind of a shock Community Shield comeback win on penalty kicks against Liverpool. Can they carry that momentum into Stamford Bridge? I don't know. Chelsea minus 180 on the money line. Palace plus 425. The over is set at 2.5 here as well, minus 160. The under plus 120. Guys, I mean, we talked about it. We think Chelsea is that team that should finish top 4. If you look outside of those big 3, they seem like the best team. They're coming off that Club World Cup victory. They've got some momentum. Palace is coming off a match last week, but Chelsea does have that Club World Cup experience, which kind of got them playing matches earlier than some of the other teams in the league. So I don't think Palace playing last week affects Chelsea as much as a team that hasn't played a competitive match all summer. What do you make of it? I mean, Scotty, you got to watch probably more of Palace than Nick and I did. I didn't get to see any of the Community Shield match. But what do you make of Palace? Do they have a shot here at Stamford Bridge coming in with a little momentum, or are their dreams going to be quickly dashed here by a better side?
Yeah, I mean, I think as the starting 11 was constructed for the Community Shield, if that's the team that's playing this weekend, for sure they have a chance. I mean, they have a lot of talent throughout the defensive line from starting with Mark Gahey all the way up through midfield. Adam Wharton is going to be a name that I think gets thrown around a lot in the closing window, transfer window here. Etse, I think he's been a star for them for the last two and a half seasons. He's rumored to be going to Spurs. Ismail Yassar, I think, is an underappreciated attacking midfielder, maybe a little bit on the wing. And then Mateta is a load. I think he's super inconsistent, but he's kind of like a Lukaku light. When he's playing really well, he does remind me a lot of Lukaku. So I think they certainly have the talent to do it. The question is, a lot of these players might be moving on within the next week or so. And similar to what I just said about Jacob Ramsey, even if they aren't completely sold right now, a lot of the rumors are enough to maybe keep them out of the lineup. So Mark Gahey being rumored to go to Liverpool for around £35 million. Wharton right now being potentially rumored to go to Real Madrid. I don't know how serious those links are. Etse, like I said, pretty strong rumors going to Spurs. So if those three guys are unavailable this weekend, it's a completely different look. Crystal Palace, and I don't think they have much of a chance against Chelsea. But all three of those guys are playing. I think Dean Henderson is an underappreciated goalie as well. Left Manchester United at the right time. Luckily for him, I think they could do enough to frustrate Chelsea. I mean, Chelsea had a great finish to the second half, no doubt, but we know that they can kind of be a little bit mess in terms of team cohesiveness and consistency. So. It's tough. I always say Palace is like the ultimate Jekyll and Hyde team. I've been saying it for years, and in this way, in this matchup, I mean it more so in that I don't really even know what their lineup is going to be based off of the Community Shield winning side 3 days ago, which is unfortunate.
And here's the fun part: we don't know what Chelsea's lineup is going to be ever because we just don't. No, listen. Last week we talked about it. I expected Chelsea to be on the come up. I expected Palace to be on the downward slope, and then Palace goes out and scores 2 goals on Liverpool and eventually get the win. So first and foremost, good for them. They have 2 pieces of silverware that many teams don't have. I like the line seems a little bit off to me, and I don't know if it's recency bias, but plus 425 seems really high. I get that they're away. If you're looking for Palace to be in this game, Palace at +1 is just about even money. I think that's decent. But I'm going to go with one that's a little bit off the rails. Stick with me here. If you guys think Palace get a goal, if you think that they have a chance to win this game, first half, both teams to score +300, I think is a live bet. I'm kind of going to ride with something like that just because I don't know what to make of it. I'm certainly not taking Chelsea on a money line. I'm not taking a Chelsea team total. I'm not taking Chelsea player props because they all look like shit. So the value is with Palace. I don't know. They could get shut out for nothing, right? I mean, anything could happen in this game. But if you think they score, they probably score early. They're a first goal scoring team. Both teams to score in the first half doesn't seem too out of control.
One Chelsea prop that I kind of liked, I know you said all their player props look kind of shitty, was Pedro Neto goal or assist +145. Feel like he can certainly chip in an assist. He had 4 goals, 6 assists last season. And if Chelsea gets going here and they maybe do get on a roll against a weakened Palace side, if they do have players out, +145 is not bad for a number of a player for a goal or an assist, I feel like.
Yeah. I think the one that I'm looking at here is, I mean, we love this bet, so I'm going to be the first one to throw it out there. It's the over 2.5 and both teams to score. It's -105. Both teams to score has hit 5 of their last 6 matchups between these two clubs. Chelsea was good for about a goal and a half allowed last season. So even though they were a much better side than they were in previous years, defense still hasn't quite been figured out. Like I said, Palace, they have guys that can score. If Mateta is on his game, he's a load. He's tough to deal with. So yeah, I think they can get one. And if Chelsea are getting points in this, they're at home probably scoring 3, I would say. So even like a Chelsea team total, I don't hate. So over 2.5 is +160. That's a little tough, but
if you think both are going to score and Chelsea wins, Chelsea to win and both teams to score is +175.
Yeah, that's also pretty good too.
I mean, it's a 100-point swing.
Yeah. All right. Not even probably, but definitely the biggest name brand matchup of the weekend is one we'll talk about last. It's Man U hosting Arsenal. So United looking to improve on what's been some very poor seasons by their standards in recent years. Arsenal looking to finally get over the hump and win the league. We talked about them being really our third pick. Even with Chelsea, City coming off a poor season, especially if those moves go through. But they're traveling to United to open the season, so it's kind of a litmus test for them, and to see where they're at. Not that United has been a juggernaut of late, but they've made some moves themselves. They feel like they've improved. They're probably, I think by the book futures, we're the fifth best team in the league right now. They're plus 245 at home on the money line. Arsenal plus 105. Drono bet for United plus 155. The over is, this one is, kind of on the fence here.
Label.
The over 2.5 is minus 120. The under minus 110. Before we talk about Jerry, what up? Thanks for joining us in the chat. Hope all is well there. And then goal scorer prop, new boy Victor Gyökeres plus 135 for Arsenal. So pretty short
Disgusting.
odds on the road. First match here. Guys, I don't know if you've looked at the goal scorer odds yet for this match, but can you guess who, if you haven't, who the second shortest odds are in this match?
Oh, I've looked, so I can't.
Saka.
Kai Havertz plus 210.
No. Does he even start?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Cunha plus 310. Interesting one there.
Yeah.
Saka
Esco plus
275.
300.
Shesko plus
Where's
295. And Mbuemo's plus 400. So there are some juicy goal scorer odds. If you think that one of these guys for United is going to get one of their bigger players, there are definitely some really playable numbers to take a shot at.
Yeah.
Are they going to get one though, Scott? Are they going to get one?
Well, I'll give you my take on this. So, Coach, you mentioned it's a litmus test for Arsenal. I think it's a litmus test for both because there's a lot of optimism, I think, and rightfully so, for United this season. Obviously, last year, as bad as a season as you could have for a club like Manchester United. But, they have a manager now that they really are trying to believe in. They've been on this manager carousel for 3 or 4 cycles now. And I think Amorim is a guy that they want to try to have patience with. He has his own system, came in mid-season, wasn't really going to implement his system with the players, but he's had a full preseason now, a full transfer window to kind of start reshaping the squad. And I think a lot of the moves they've done have made sense. Obviously, bringing in Sesko to lead the line should be a significant improvement for what they've had there in the last 3 years. Mbuemo and Cunha are proven Premier League attackers who are going to contribute in multiple goal-scoring ways, both putting the ball in the back of the net and setting up Sesko or the like. Bruno Fernandes, I think, has been overworked in his last 2 seasons, and I think a lot of his ability has been kind of overlooked just because of how much he's had to do both defensively and playing as almost like an 8 at times. So I think allowing him to be more of a free roaming attacking midfielder where he's best suited will make him kind of get back to his real potential. And I think the defense, Lenny Yoro is certainly a much better player than Harry Maguire. I think him being healthy should be helpful for them stabilizing that back line. So coming into this, an opening game at Old Trafford with a lot of optimism and reason to kind of have fans in full voice, I think they can probably get a result here. So I'm looking at the draw no bet at plus 150, plus 155.
That's not a bad number.
It's a really good number. I think Arsenal, not that they've had to do a lot of moves, really only brought in Gyökeres, so we know what they're going to look like coming into this. I could see them coming off to a slow start on the road against a club that has a lot of reasons to have a lot of hope this season. So, I'll take United getting a result in some capacity. Draw no bet is, like I said, plus 155. I'm going to go, what's the...
double chance, bro.
I was going to say, what's the double chance line?
Minus 120.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really talented front line now. Front 3, right?
That was their problem last year. They could not score.
Shesko.
Defense was like almost okay, for a team that finished in the bottom 5. It was like, much better than what that leads you to believe. But I'm a believer in Lenny Yoro. I think he's going to be a breakout player for them this year as long as he can stay healthy. Onana is an adventure, but
is there attacking talent that much worse than Arsenal's?
Well, we got to see what happens to Gyökeres. I think the Gyökeres, Sesko.
I think Sesko is more suited to the Premier League than Gyökeres.
I think that's fair. I think the problem with Gyökeres right now is he has to learn to adapt to a new style of play because Arsenal aren't going to want to counterattack, and that's really where Gyökeres was, brilliant for the last 4 or 5 years. There's gonna be a lot of crosses. He's not exactly a tall player, so he's going to have to figure out ways to score by getting into the box and getting on to crosses from Martinelli, Odegaard, etc.
Yeah. Listen, familiarity with each other, obviously big edge to Arsenal here. It's like you said, it's a brand new project for United. So can they get off to a start in game one against this Arsenal side? That is definitely a tall task. Definitely don't see them getting embarrassed. So I'm with you. I think double chance is a really good look. I think both teams to score is decent here too at -130. It's a little bit juicy, a little bit chalky, but I don't know. I don't see a way United don't get a goal at home. I think they have to, right? If they get shut out, mentally that does more damage to them than losing, I feel like, 4-1 or something like that. So I think both teams to score is probably my pick, but I like the double chance as well.
Yeah, I don't hate either one. I mean, coming in, I was like, oh, Arsenal probably should win. But when you look at the lineups and you see that Šeško is ready to go from, as long as he goes from the opening whistle, I like United's chances to get a goal. I think that front three is, like you said, two proven Premier League players in Cunha and Mbeumo, and you bring in a big talent. In the long term, if things go according to plan, Šeško's going to be a better signing for United than
I think so.
Than York is for Arsenal, unless Arsenal wins the Premier League this year, obviously. Then it pays its weight in gold right there. But if they don't win the league with him, long term, give me Šeško all day.
No, and we talked about it a couple weeks back, and I'll bring it back up every chance I possibly get. This is year 99 for Arsenal. Like they don't get any benefit of the doubt. They don't get any excuses. They don't get anything. You win the league this year, or I don't want to hear about you guys ever again. I mean, I'm tired of hearing about you already, but like, this is it, man. It's Premier League title or bust, plain and simple. So any stumble out of the gate, I'm interested to see what it does to their psyche. But I don't think United, maybe not match day 1. If this was match day 15, I'd be saying this a little bit stronger. I don't think United's top 4, top 5 attacking talent is that much worse than Arsenal's. Or I think it's pretty much on par, quite honestly.
Yeah, I don't immediately disagree because we've seen what Cunha and Mbeumo can do. Fernandez, I think he's going to have a resurgent season. And then if Šeško can be 80% of what he was at Red Bull, yeah, I think he'll in the Premier League, obviously. Yeah, I think they're going to cause a lot of trouble.
And the other little
Bruno
dude who's 19?
Plus 425 for an assist.
That's a big number.
That's a very big number on a guy who's going to be supplying that front three.
Yeah.
What is he, goal or assist? Because he takes set pieces.
Yeah, he takes set pieces. Let's see. Goal score props. Goal or assist on Bruno's plus 190. I like that number.
I would take a stab.
Yeah. It's a really big number on him. And he takes their PK. I mean, unless it changes this year, he takes their PKs too.
Yeah.
Right?
So 100%. And yeah, what are we getting from these Arsenal guys? We know at their best, they're very capable, but we've seen the downside of Saka. We've seen the downside of Odegaard. We've seen the downside of Martinelli. We've seen the downside of, who am I missing in the middle there?
No, you got Odegaard, Martinelli, Saka, and now Yorker. It's going to be the top 4.
Their striker, so yeah. We've seen 3.
You could be confusing Kai Havertz or Mikel Merino, who played that striker last season.
Merino's not on the team anymore, right?
I think he is. He just
is he
be midfield. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, well, that's kind of where I'm at for this game.
He's listed as a goal scorer, so he's on the team. Yeah. You could get Joshua Xerxes for plus 425.
I don't.
That's okay.
Off the bench.
If he gets 5 minutes, I'd be impressed.
Yeah.
And Højlund at plus 400, man. Serie A
soon to be sold, I think.
Yeah. Coming to Roma, many are saying.
Can't be worse than Delvik.
Dude, guy's got 2.
Coach. Still catching strays. We're done with Serie A. Coach still gets the strays.
He knows. He watched him miss enough easy chances.
I watched him 30 plus matches last year to know that he missed plenty of chances and did not look like a former La Liga Golden Boot winner.
He is like the biggest beneficiary that like Vlahovic exists, that Lukaku still existed, or Morata, or guys like
say
that
Morata,
still in Serie
yeah.
A, because like if they didn't, he would have the biggest target on his back for
Yeah.
missing fucking clear goals.
Morata walked so Dovbyk could crawl.
Fact. Wait, where did he sign? He just went somewhere.
Morata's Como.
He went to Como, yeah, and that's who. And that's who Scott told me is
plus
finishing top
500.
five. Yeah. Okay. When Morata clocks in in April with 3 goals and 20 matches played, we'll revisit that.
Yeah. All right, so that ends our 3 feature matches, guys. Anything you want to add to this one before we wrap it up?
Yeah, I'll say so. Liverpool kick off the season on Friday, so obviously Liverpool fan, soccer fan, going to be watching that game regardless. Not a lot of great lines there. Liverpool obviously the heavy favorite. Over 2.5 in both teams to score, and that is -110. Liverpool are going to struggle again, I think, in this match, just because Gravenberch will be suspended from his red card on final match day last season. So their midfield 3 of Florian Wirtz, Dominic Szoboszlai, and I'm assuming Curtis Jones again is a very attacking midfield. That's going to leave a lot of work to do for Konate and Van Dijk, especially when you consider how much Kerkez and Frimpong will be pushing up. So I could see Bournemouth getting one in here, but I think Liverpool hopefully will score again another couple, 2-3 goals. We saw how quick they can score in the Community Shield, so should get a result. Should get handful of goals. Goal scorer props. I think Gakpo played really poorly, in my opinion, in the Community Shield, so I'm looking for him to have a bounce back game. He was one of the better players in Liverpool's attacking side last season, so plus 210 anytime goal scorer. I kind of like that. He shoots from pretty much anywhere, especially cutting in on that left wing. So I like that pick. Florian Wirtz assist is plus 190. If Liverpool are scoring 3 goals, you want to tell me Wirtz is not getting an assist. So I like that. Also, shout out Ben Doak, who is the other player at plus 190 for getting assist. Just a crazy number. Had to give him a shout out. And then, Nick, I took a look for you. Over 1.5 goals first half, plus 100.
Yeah.
I don't mind that. I think it's going to be a quick start. We saw that in the Community Shield. Liverpool, I think, scored 2 goals in the first 20 minutes, and they conceded 1 within that time frame as well. So I think there'll be a quick start again in this one.
Is my boy Kluivert healthy for Bournemouth?
I assume so. I have not heard anything
plus
else.
500 to score a goal. I know he fell off the face of the earth towards the end of last year, but he started the season on fire.
I mean, I think Anfield might be kind of a house of horrors for him because he had one of the worst misses of all time at Anfield last season. That miss has seared my brain because I think that would have drawn them level, and he missed an open net by about 30 feet.
I remember it in the group chat, for sure. But no, I mean, just, hey, if you believe Bournemouth is scoring a goal, plus 500 for a dude that basically owned August, September, and October of last year.
Yeah.
Not an awful look.
Yeah, no, it's a big number. Scored 12 goals last year in the Premier League. Not a bad number for a guy who kind of became a journeyman a little bit in his career and found his place here. Now at 26 at Bournemouth. Yeah, Bournemouth's back line is decimated, so the quick succession of goals would not be surprising for me from Liverpool to get the 2 in the first half.
That was Liverpool total, or that was
no, that was just game total. That was
what's
total.
Liverpool over 1.5
in the first half?
Yeah,
I don't even have to dig. Is that under team props?
It should be under halves.
Specific.
Oh, plus 160.
Oh yeah, plus 165.
Yeah, it's okay. If it was plus 200, I'd take it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Another one that jumped out at me was just Brighton at home -105 hosting Fulham. Their team totals -120. Yes. We talked about Fulham not really improving. Not really getting much worse, but also not getting better. They're kind of just stagnant. They haven't done much either way in the market. Brighton at home kind of jumped out at me at -105.
Agree. Scotty, give us the quick lowdown on Sunderland. How many games will they win this year?
I mean, they're trying to spend, so they're trying to get a little bit better. I think they have like the 6th or 7th highest like total spend so far. Okay. But it's a lot of Premier League newcomers, so it's gonna be people that are gonna have to adapt to this league. They don't have a lot of guys.
I wish it was somebody else, but West Ham plus 125 looks kind of
so that goes against one of my rules, which is you don't bet teams to beat newly promoted
Newly
sides and their
promoted
home
at
owners.
home. Right,
yeah.
right, right.
So Sunderland, I mean, Stadium of Light, coach's second favorite stadium in all of Europe. It's a tough place to play.
I know. I wish it was somebody else. Like I said, West Ham. I don't know if I can get there, but
yeah, I mean, I'd fully expect Sunderland to get relegated at the end of the season, just because we've seen that trend so far in the last 2 years, and I don't know that they've done quite as much to get back into it. Burnley, they're maybe a little bit more appealing to me, but yeah.
All right, I'm going to double down on it then. We got Leeds United, newly promoted at home, taking on Everton. Everton is plus 175. That doesn't seem correct to me. To talk me out of Everton. I know it's the logic you just gave me, but talk me out of Everton.
No, I mean, that one I can't. I think
Everton draw no bet is even money.
Yeah, that I'd be fine with, 100%.
Yeah, I think I kind of like Everton better just because they performed better toward the end of last season, right?
It's, once they got Moyes in, they became a completely different club. They played so much better. I think Braithwaite is healthy, so their defense should be pretty good. If Grealish is ready to go, they actually have some creativity in the attack. Yeah. And then they got Nick's boy Beto ready to bang in goals. So
hard work.
If not, he'll work hard.
He will work.
There will be lots of hard work.
I have to update the tracker. I slacked towards the end of the year. He had like 2 goals in 2 months.
Yeah,
which was 2 more goals than he had all of the previous year. CFC Gamer shout out in the chat, dude. Yeah, we did cover Chelsea a little bit earlier in the show. If you want to go back and check it out, but we're all believers, and if you want to catch our preview episode from last week, we are believers in Chelsea top 4. So good luck to you guys this year.
That is facts.
Yeah, and I think that'll probably do it, right? The only other one, maybe, I just looked, Forest plus 105 at home hosting Brentford. I know Brentford lost a lot of talent. Do you think Forest has enough left to get it done, Scott? I mean,
yeah, I think that's actually
left, but
I think that's a good shout, just because Forest have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. I think they feel like they should have gotten into the top 5 last season. They kind of fell apart, in the last month and a half, 2 months there. And so, yeah, I think, when their defense is clicking, they're a very, very tough team to beat. At home against a Brentford team that is probably going to be missing their 2 best forwards from last season, their manager. On the road, I think that's a tough ask for the Bees. So I like Forest plus 105 on the money line at home.
Okay, yeah. Interesting. Guys, I got one more. We didn't even consider it. We didn't handicap it because I didn't think any of us thought we were recording tonight. We have the UEFA Super Cup tomorrow. PSG hosting Tottenham. And
that'll be a close one.
Well, I have a bet to reflect what you're saying, but PSG is minus 230 and Tottenham plus 550. You can get a boost. Oh, shit. Hard Rock has a boost on Tottenham to plus 810 if I'm feeling so bold. Here's where I'm at with
so
no
generous,
handicapping.
Since, Spurs are really going to win this match.
First half total goals over 1.5 at plus 105. I think PSG has been known to get off to a hot start. They score multiple goals every half, first half, or if they don't, they concede multiple goals in that half, as they did against Chelsea. What do you think?
Sure.
I see it. Yeah, I could see him scoring goals early.
I'm trying to look at some of these props.
Really looked all that good to me.
Kvara plus 150 goal scorer with Doué. I mean, these you can't take any PSG players to score a goal.
No, disgusting.
How many? Let's see. 1, 2, 3. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 PSG players before you get to a Tottenham player. I'm gonna write that number down. We're gonna see if we can find another game this season where there's 9 players in one team before it gets to the next.
I don't know.
How do you even find 8 players? Like, what positions
8
guys
play? Yeah, you're getting into like defense.
Yeah, it's like wing backs and
same or better odds than like Solanke and Tell and Richarlison. So yeah,
I think that's crazy.
I don't know. Hakimi shows out in these finals. Just saying. Let's see if there's a shot prop on him.
Is he allowed to play?
Yeah,
is he going to jail?
No, he got acquitted. I think of like it being like an internet story.
Oh.
I think. Shit, man, I don't have shot. Hold on.
I thought I got 4 years. Am I crazy?
I think you're crazy.
I'm just going to Google Hakimi jail and see what happens. He faces up to 15 years.
I don't know. I thought it was like internet fake news.
No. It's still ongoing. But if he's guilty, faces up to 15 years.
Okay. Well, if he's not guilty,
right.
minus 120 shot on target.
Guess we'll wrap it there.
I'm good with it.
All right, so club football is back. We thank you for joining us for our first week Premier League preview. We talked a little bit of Serie A futures at the beginning of the episode if you're just joining us. And we'll be back next week to talk Premier League going into week 2, and the Serie A will be opening up, and I think pretty much all of Europe will be open by then. Who knows who'll be playing for these Italian teams because the transfer market always drags out, but we'll be ready for match week 1, and we thank you for joining us. We'll catch you guys next week.